saw a comedian that had that in their bio.
Are they funny? I find that hard to believe
it's
that
not
there's
possible.
too many.
They can't be.
Culturally, they don't, like, there's a section of the population that tends to be like really liberal, like the woke side of the spectrum. They're not funny. They can't have humor. They're humorless. That's part of this.
They could 10 years ago.
They could.
10, 15 years ago, you could. Because there's a lot of people that you would consider woke that were very liberal, but they were able to use humor in a way that is very offensive if it was not humor.
Right.
Because but it's humor. It's only supposed to be funny. It's not like they're making statements. Like these are affidavits. These are my real beliefs on things. No, they're saying things in a way that's either ironic or sarcastic or it's a parody or whatever, but it's very funny. And it's very funny and uses outrageous language and uses what people would think is problematic stereotypes and all kinds of shit like that. And there was a lot of liberal comedians that would walk that line and be really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they would say something racist from the perspective of a racist person and make fun of that person, but also make fun of the way that person's talking about things. And that the way that person's talking about things are also funny. And you could do that. Now you can't do that anymore. Because now those people are the left has moved so far. It's so far into this weird world of Narnia where, you know, like gender transition surgeries are cool. Like, yeah, you should be support trans kids. Like, what are you saying? The fuck are you saying? Support Ukraine. Like, are you sure? Did you go over there? What are you saying? What are you saying? Free Palestine. Free Palestine from what? Like, okay, what do you know about it? Tell me what you know. Like, are you just jumping on every fucking bandwagon that the left wants you to jump on? Or have you really looked into this shit? Like, how much do you know about Israel? How much do you know about Hamas? How much do you know about the history of the region? Very little, but you got a fucking flag on your Instagram bio because that's the fashionable thing to do. That it's moved so far in that direction. What are your pronouns? Put them in your bio. Okay. Like, you don't even have your pronouns in your bio. Like, this kind of nonsense and compliance has led them into this weird world where you can't do proper humor anymore. No. That's why there's no comedy movies anymore, man.
Is that the reason you think?
Yes, they're scared. You can't do, like, Superbad today.
No.
But the guys who did Superbad are all woke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, all of those guys are 100% on the woke side of things.
Now.
Like,
and now they're like they woke themselves out of jobs. They woke themselves out of one of the most cherished aspects of movie-going times, which is going to see a great offensive movie. Like the Farrelly Brothers, like Something About Mary. Hilarious fucking movie. Try making that today.
Well, Blazing Saddles. Try making something
today.
like that.
Yeah.
Like, could never happen.
Could never happen.
Like,
Tropic
everything
Thunder.
Mel Brooks, everything that they did.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way it could be made today.
No way. And he's a very liberal, very left-wing guy. You used to be able to do that. You used to be able to do that with humor. There's a lot of comics that are really liberal that were really funny like 10, 15 years ago. And now you watch them, it's like a lot of clapter and virtue signaling. It's like, you're scared. You're scared. You're scared of upsetting that base. You're scared of them turning on you. You want them with you always. And they're not with you, man. They're all trapped in the undercurrent, the tide. They're getting pulled by a riptide of this culture run amok. And they don't do anything to stop it. And that's why guys like Bill Maher are interesting.
Yeah.
Because he does. He does. He never stopped being a real comic. Even in the tide of all this crazy left shit, he's like, wait, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is happening here? Like, he's not, he's one of the few guys that's saying, hey, Biden, fucking step down. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? The fuck is happening here? His time is gone. This is nonsense. Do you guys want to win this thing? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And that's against what most of that ideology wants you to say.
Well, they've lost the ability to be objective in anything.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't agree, if you don't pass the purity test,
yes,
then you're going to be on the right.
You're a Nazi.
Yeah, you're going to go over here. You're a fascist. You're labeled as something that you're not. Obviously, just because you want to have a different opinion, there's no ability for people to have a constructive conversation, be objective, bring in facts. They've got to make it personal. They've got to go really deep into these obscure philosophical conversations that don't make sense. I think part of it is I truly do believe that there's part of this that's directly contributed to from our strategic enemies. I think that we're in the middle of this information operation, and I think people wittingly and unwittingly are participating in this crazy, chaotic narrative. And they're saying, but this is what we need to do. Actually, what you're doing is you're just directly relaying propaganda. That's what you're doing. And you're trying to cause cultural divides, and they're trying to divide us. They're trying to make us argue because they're the ones that directly reap the benefits of all this chaos. Who else would reap the benefits of this?
Yeah, it's laid out by Yuri Bezmenov in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And people who haven't seen that, go watch this video. It's on YouTube. Former KGB defector Yuri Bezmenov, he outlines how Russia has invaded our education system and what they're doing to try to destroy our culture. And whether or not you believe in that shit or not, just listen to what he's saying and see what's happened. He is outlining exactly how it would take place. He's off by about 10 years.
Yeah.
But he outlined it in terms of how many generations it would take for a complete moral decay and a complete or an erosion of our faith in the democratic process. And all of it's laid out. All of it's laid out exactly what you see. And that's the enemy of comedy. You're going to fucking fall in on that. Like, you can't be funny.
No.
And you can't be funny and be involved in this fucking chaotic war. I was watching a jiu-jitsu coach online. They were talking about whether or not he supports trans women competing in women's division. And he was saying, of course I do, because I'm not a Nazi. We're not Nazis.
Right.
So if you don't support biological males competing against women in jiu-jitsu matches, you're a Nazi. I was like, this is crazy. This kind of nutty shit has made it all the way to jiu-jitsu.
Do you think that eventually it loses the effectiveness of the term if they're just overusing, fascist and Nazi in every sentence? Do you think eventually it at least runs out of inertia because they've used it so much that it loses its effectiveness?
It definitely does, but the problem with that is there's real Nazis out there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem with crying wolf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, one day you're going to see a real wolf. Like, oh my God, that's a wolf. And everyone's like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, guys, that's an actual Nazi.
Right.
Like, they have a swastika on their back. This is a real Nazi. Like, real Nazis are real. That's what's so offensive about calling someone who doesn't want a biological male with a mental disorder to compete against women.